Viewers, once again, welcome to this exclusive interview. My name is Omar Wally, and with me is Colonel Baboucarr Jatta. He was the former Chief of Staff of the Gambia Armed Forces. He retired. He also served in various capacities during Jammeh's era. On Wednesday, the Cabinet White Paper recommended for his prosecution for the student demonstration. We will discuss that, what is his take on that, his reaction, and many other things. Colonel, you're still a colonel or you're a former colonel?
I was promoted to Brigadier General, the 1st Brigadier, but gazetted.
Gazetted, okay.
But no PP ceremony, and I got fired.
Thank you so much for granting us this interview.
Thank you too.
So I will give you a little time to talk about your career.
Okay. As been the case, I was the first student to this IMET program. That's America's International Military Exchange Training. As the first officer cadet, I left as a second lieutenant because there I was supposed to be trained as second lieutenant, not officer cadet. I was in Lackland Air Force Base, San Antonio, Texas, studying Defense Language Institute. I proceeded to Fort Benning. That was in I left in April 1985. Okay. I proceeded to Fort Benning to do my basic infantry program in Fort Benning, Columbus. Okay. I did my airborne course, but unfortunately I couldn't complete it. Second to last job, I had a fracture. But then still I had to continue. I left Fort Benning to Fort Bragg, School of Psychological Warfare, Fayetteville in North Carolina. I came back to Fort Gordon, where I did my instructor course. Back to Fort Benning again. I did support weapons, that's mortars and others. It's long-range weapons. Then from IOBC, I had to come back.
Okay.
In 1991, I went back to America again to do my advanced infantry. I came back in 93. I was in Nigeria, Staff College with the former minister, Defense Minister Omar.
Okay.
Yes, added to other courses. In 1993, I was also in Kenya on international humanitarian law as a resource person in the armed forces, along with Conte. I think Major Conte went to Sierra Leone, something like that. I also did the ACSS course, African Center for Strategic Studies in Uganda, on armed proliferation. And that's 2000. I also did, in 2002, I was in Maryland on ACSS, on the same course, on another course again, on military matters. I also did international terrorism law. Terrorism. I have a diploma in terrorism. Yes, as a chief of staff, that was my CV. And the longest, I'm the most trained in terms of in the Gambia Armed Forces.
Well,
okay, let's go to the next question.
We're going to go to the next question. So, yes. Most trained and one of the longest serving in the Chief of Staff.
Yes, as yet.
And I want to ask you this. They said because you are yes sir, Chief of Defense Staff, you always say yes sir, yes sir. That's why Jammeh kept you, maintain you there. Was that the case?
No.
Okay, tell me.
When I was appointed as the Chief of Staff, the last rank in that army was a Brigadier General.
Okay.
I was appointed 21 days later. I should be a Brigadier General from there onwards. But for 10 years, I was never given that rank. That is to say, not always tell to political authorities, yes sir, yes sir. Your duty is to advise them. And you know, by age and experience, we won't compare us to them. Those are lieutenants. They are not even junior officers. They are subalterns. So I always like to put my foot down when it comes to certain issues relating to security. But I also cooperated working with other services like the NIA and the police.
Okay.
That's to say, all these military observer, SIPOL, infant trucks, I used to give it to them when we have ours. You know, when they started paying us on clothing and equipment, we buy trucks. I gave them to the police. At least we operate as a team. So it was not that because for one reason or the other.
Yeah.
If you have to push me further, then I will tell you that I was the first officer cadet of the Gambia National Army.
And let me push you further. many people said you succeeded in, kind of saving some people from being dismissed, from being killed by Jammeh,
Yes.
but you failed to persuade his deputy at the time, who went ahead and executed so many people. How can you manage Jammeh, but you fail to manage his deputy?
That's 11 November also.
Right, exactly.
You see, when I was called by 1 p.m. on the 9th, that there's something going on in the barracks related to a coup attempt. Up to that day, until we went to the barracks, we went with the junta. I was there. Although they took up before me, I went there. I said, let's talk to the officers first. They said, no, they're talking to the soldiers first. Up to that time, up to when the shots were fired, the following on the 10th morning, nobody ever briefed me that Barrow was the head of the coup. I was told nothing. But one thing also good about the TRRC, we discussed this thing with ESA. One major question I was asking for the rest of my life, up to today, why was the command disregarded and doing their own thing? I tried to contact Jammeh through the line he gave me. It did not work. I went through the keyboard. It did not work. But I used to hear Sabali talking. Sometimes he takes a distance and said, yes, sir. I heard him here say, yes, sir, yes, sir. I was totally cut off. That's to say, they passed me at Banjulinding to Yundum to fight without call, even a single call. How about if I had been there before them? What would they think of me? An accomplice. So,
yes. So
I am still coming.
Okay.
From there on, after when they were ready, that was when Sabali called me and sent me an escort. I came, I met Barrow. My mouth was swollen, although we don't have to talk about it to expose all this. But they told us that we are going to go to Yundum Barracks. Okay. Sorry, Fajara Barracks. You know why? I built up that defense, Fajara Barracks. You know, Sabali came with during the coup on the 22nd July with only 7 men, handheld mortar, and he chased almost 100 and something plus men out of that barracks. So this time around, along with the training school, I built that defense. And those on the defensive line are more than us coming. We were around 42, they were around 61. We can't fight them. Now what we did was, I took the phone, I gave the number to Sabali, we started calling them to withdraw, and we saw these boys running after the barracks. That was what saved us. There was not a single casualty for that operation. So,
Sana said, if you remove the head of the snake, the body becomes useless. So why didn't you just tell him, I think the best way, instead of taking law into our own hands, we can take these people before the law and prosecute them. But you fail in that.
Did I know that that's going to be there? I thought that that's going to come back to me. I never knew that these detained officers are going to leave Yundum to Fajara Barracks.
But Sana is impulsive.
Yes, I know. What happened was, immediately we took over that place. But Sana arrested 2 officers there. We arrested, but we did not shoot them dead.
So do you have regrets?
I was on the spot. It would not happen. But you know what caused the whole distraction? Ammunition were being scattered all over the floor down there. All I have down there were only couples. I decided to stand there. I stood there to make sure that those ammunitions have been picked. Somebody can pick it and go with it, not so. So now when I want to check my weapons, we have a dump site there. The new weapons were used, they were open, and so on. That was when I had this shooting. I thought that it was a counter-attack. When I came out, the couple told me that Sabali is still bad. But we also bid one to one another. Okay, it's all right, enough exercise. On the whole, these people have been transferred from Yundum to Fajara. That was why it happened. But in the first go, it was only Barrow and Dotfal who fell. But the rest, he did not shoot them. He was even threatening them some little bit talk.
So, but the fact that you were there,
yes.
Why were you quiet? You could have told this man, look, what you are doing is against the, you can't kill people.
Here we are. Yeah. An order from a superior, and an advice from a subordinate. Which one would you take?
Well, advice are good, so I think your advice will be good because you were...
My advice was taken later. That brought about this court martial. Okay. Because on that Friday, I couldn't get him. Saturday, I couldn't get him. Sunday, I decided not to call. At that time, that was far from when they went to the barracks again. And this time around, when the soldiers called me, I said, I can't do much about it.
Okay. So you tell me about, let's talk about the April 10 and 11, because the white paper came and they said, you should be prosecuted. What is your take?
They said I didn't do much about it.
What is your take on this? They said,
that's their finding.
Yeah, that's your way.
You know, during the TRC, I had a little bit of push and pull with Esa.
Turn this way a little bit, yeah.
Yes, a little bit of push and pull with Esa. He said I voluntarily attended the execution of these people.
The shooting of the students.
Yeah. Oh, you are talking about 10, 11.
Okay, yeah.
You see, from the early morning, I was not part of them, but simply because we are going to the Vice President's office. I was a member of the National Security Council. I passed by the students at GTTI. I sensed that those 17 police officers cannot control the situation. There, the minister came and he met me there. I left. But you know, sometimes the propaganda against one man is always a problem, also. Why should the DG, in the first place, that early morning, rush to the Vice President's office, told him that Baboucarr Jatta has started shooting?
But is it not also the military officers who were on their way to work? Don't you think that also contributed, aggravating the...
No. Those are engineers.
The engineers are...
They were not armed.
No, they were not. I understand. Don't you think that it also led to this?
When they started firing one and when the skirmish happened, what I did was, immediately I reached the office, I was trying to call all the units to stay away. But I don't know why, for some reason, the engineers were left to come to Banjul. They were, then at that time we were working on our structures at Banjul. But they were not armed. But they were stoned by the students. But you know, at the time I came to Westfield, everything was so quiet. And Omar was running from one place to the other, talking to the boys, trying to understand. It was there. I said, okay, that's the end of everything. But some of the boys I don't know, maybe they recognize me. They told me that we have some boys. So I told the minister, I said, these boys are saying that we have some boys at Tipakunda also. They should know about this.
Right.
He said, let's go there. I said, but your vehicle is not there. I have my vehicle. He said, okay, let's use your vehicle. At that point, there was no need for any there was no cause for any kind of interruption. Everything was just quiet. The boys have started listening to their leaders.
Eventually, 15 people were killed, according to the white paper.
Okay.
So now they shared, you were the head of the military at the time.
Yes.
Osman Baji was the interior minister. Asedunjai said the former vice president should face the music. What is your take on these TRRC findings and eventually the white paper recommendation that you should be prosecuted?
If they say that I have to be prosecuted, I will argue that of PIU. I came with all the crap because
so
the boys
when you say you will argue the PIU, what do you mean?
The issue. That one, I'm telling you, I was the only person and my orderly who were soldiers. We were only two. I came with my orderly. I did not encourage any officer. I told everybody to stay put. Yeah. Even my deputy, whom I sent to observe, I met him at the present advice. I said, you go back. Let me go and find out what's going on down there. It looks as this thing has reached Banjul. It was all quiet. And I talked to the boys like that, like this distance. They told me that we have some of these people at Tipakunda.
Right.
I said, what do you mean? I said, we want them to be there. We'll convince them. So I went with the minister using my vehicle. We went down there. They were there. When they saw us, we come down from the vehicle, getting closer. They were throwing stone a little bit. Then one elderly man was crossing. I think he talked to them. They accepted to hold them. And he called us to come. That is the minister and myself. He made a very good speech, which we do not argue. But lastly, he uttered one very big mistake.
Which is?
He said, up. But even well before we calmed down those students, we saw some of those boys, we identified them by the color of their shirts, coming from Westfield to talk to these people, and they accepted. Osman Baji did that. They stoned us. Although the stones were not on the head, they were rolling. He ran like the youngest marathoner on earth. Took my vehicle, went back to Westfield. They opened up the way, thinking that I was there. When I was not there, I had to stand. Why do I have to run? So I was able to convince them this time through those boys who left Westfield to that group. They told me that we have other group at the mosque, Latikunda Mosque. No, which one is one? Next to the big tree, it's Latikunda Mosque. Yeah. Yes, it's let's go there. We went there. I talked to them. I was able to convince them. Those also said there's other group at present official headquarters. We went down there. You know whom I met there? Late Musa An. He came and one guy, I don't know, they said he was the son of Tengu George. And I saw George FM, George Christensen. Yeah. Musa came into the crowd thinking that he's going to talk. He told me, no, get out. I said, Musa, you cannot do this. But you're supposed to be at the central bank. What are you doing here? I'll talk to you later. You can see he went down, zoop.
Now.
But at the end of the day, when the police had their evidences of people whom they think could be arrested and charged, you are telling me that I should give you my name. Now it did not happen, I refuse also.
Now you tell me, what is your reaction to the white paper recommendation that you should be prosecuted? The government accepted that.
Look, if the government accepts it, that's to say we are coming on for another big talk. But if we say that the TRRC is not a judiciary committee, not so. It's not a court of law.
They did an investigation.
But the problem is, I have been to this court's hearing, I've been put before those boxes and so on, and I saw how lawyers talk to people. I did not get that at the TRRC.
So you feel you were disrespected?
Well, I was disrespected. You do hear SFL on several occasions, Baboucarr Jatta.
So how do you want to be called? What?
Call me sir.
Sir, but Queen did not...
Did you hear me say SFL? Did you hear me once saying SFL? I said lead counsel. Not so. Okay. Look, let's go by appointments.
But Esa is not a military man.
Yes.
You know, even in the
but
military...
now my worry here is...
Yeah.
There are so many things that need to be rectified at the TRRC, but although there was no complaint center.
So you have complaints?
Yes.
Such as?
Let's talk about one. Who was their military advice? We want to know, because they are not soldiers. Somebody must stand in the side of the military to guide them. That is why when we have our court martial, we have the nation's DPP, and a high court judge who attends the court martial, with the court martial president being a soldier, an officer.
You just said here it's not a court of law. So do they need that? All what they need is investigators.
Yes.
Because you can't. You were the...
Okay. Now these investigators were serving police officers, active serving. Are you really sure that they will be fair with their superiors? SIs, inspectors and chief inspectors. By our category, they are equivalent to staff sergeants.
Now,
if we are not the same, but if you look at the grade level,
do you, Baboucarr Jatta, you tell me, do you have any regrets for the incident that happened in April 10 and 11 in 2000?
For sure. I have some great regrets. That's why I apologize to the TRRC. You know why?
Are you ready to face the justice?
For sure. If the state say they are taking me for justice, who am I to say, no, what do I do then?
Are your hands clean?
My hands were very clean.
Who gave the orders?
Who gave the orders?
To shoot.
That is the point of contention. The president was not here.
The vice president was here and Baboucarr Jatta was here.
I was here. Could it be it came out of my own soldiers?
Or is it that person who came from Kanilai, was that person who came from Kanilai to give orders, or it was you or Asabengai said it? Because I understand that somebody came, a military officer came from Kanilai, I don't want to mention name, to give orders to shoot.
This is it.
Is it that person?
When I was in the crowd, by the time I was at LK, these boys came to tell me that one man was killed at Red Cross. Okay. I said, I cannot believe this. Even to join the main, crowd at Westfield, they were so agitated, they were firing stone, they would not accept us closer.
Oh, are you also blaming that guy, that man?
No.
Okay.
They did something wrong that brought the agitation to the students.
And who did that?
I do not know, because what happened...
Is it that man who came from Kanilai? Because you were talking about...
We had that. That's why I'm telling you.
Okay.
Out of the investigation also, I was able to be fed with some information from ESA. That is why sometimes, even if I have to criticize ESA, I always limit my criticism. What you think today on the public, on media and so on, everybody's attacking ESA. But always you have to attack ESA. Where's the chairman? Why was the chairman and the CEO? SR was the punch bag day. So sometimes what he gave to say is what he has to say. At some level, we may see us pushing and pulling during TRS, but we used to talk and we sort out a lot of things. But my worry was, who was advising these people? Because our system and that of the police are quite different.
So, Baboucarr Jatta, you tell me up to
now. I'm coming.
Okay.
Now, when this incident happened at Brikamaba, my commanding officer, a police officer, Keta was a police officer. The amalgamation brought about this thing. We send them there thinking that they are a little bit mature by age. But it was a failure. At Yundu, Marong was a police officer and a lawyer for that matter.
No.
And the appointment were politically motivated.
So you telling me...
Now I'm coming to Brikamaba. I ordered every commanding officer to go by himself and supervise because all I was left were second lieutenants. But they failed me. He wrote a report, a 1.5 page. By the time I was trying to send this to the Ministry of Defense to tell them that this man's report is unacceptable, they told me that they have got their report. I said, how did you get your report? They said they have got their report. I went to the CJ, he said he has got his report. So they got their report before me. Now the CJ said, look, we are going to run our investigation. I said, I need to write my own report for posterity. They said theirs has precedence over mine. If in the Ministry of Defense they called me to say, look, let's wait for the main investigation. But they kept my men down for 2 weeks while they run their investigation. The killing at that place, certainly I should take that responsibility.
So now, let's go back
to
the subject.
Yeah. Because those soldiers did not go there by themselves.
So 20 years on,
yeah.
You still don't know who gave orders?
I don't know. And two, who informed the authorities in Banjul that there was a coup plot going on?
So according
I think that person should have passed through me. Not so.
So what type of military was it? Because according to a witness, said Jame, sorry for this language, said they should deal with the bastards. Those were the students.
Let me
so
say.
Because the arms and ammunition certainly are under the control of the Chief of Defense Staff of the Gambia Armed Forces. You were in charge. Every single military officer in this country was under you.
Accountable.
You should be accountable. So who gave the weapons used? Did you even ask one of your subordinates and say, who gave you orders to shoot?
Let me tell you one.
No, a simple answer will do.
I did not give one single order.
But did you ask those officers because you know who those people?
Yes, because when we learned that there were casualties, people have died, it is in my interest to investigate what happened.
Okay.
If the Chief Justice hadn't intervened. Because I was very mad with Keta. But do you know what happened? In between, Keta got fired. Why should Keta be fired also? His letter be given without coming through me.
Sure. So, but you decided to stay on. Don't you think that's even a breach, like a head of the military? People were killed without your notice. You did not give command. Your deputy did not give command. So you don't even know, and yet you stayed as the head of the military.
I was almost fired, and I would have accepted. No. Yeah. Sometimes you see the way the military civilians take things for granted. Not for granted. Okay. We took it for granted. When a situation happened of this nature, and I decided to discharge myself, then they would have pushed all the problems onto me.
But certainly...
But here is a situation where we need to rectify them. We say that because of failed policies.
But is
that not the case?
Yes, but you were not conscripted into the army. So even if you were not conscripted. So if somebody bypassed you and acted, in a way that led to the loss of life, don't you think it's proper? So if you can't get the answers, you decide to pack and vacate the office of the CDS.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't you think that was the best thing?
That's from your own point of view.
Yes.
What I am saying from my own point of view. Let us rectify everything.
Okay.
What we were expecting the TRC is, let's pursue policies. You know, there was a time on my last sitting, I questioned SFL. I said, you do not ask me questions related to policy.
But is this a policy or this
has
to
do it's a failed policy, failed policies. We discussed it with ESA from the onset. Okay. You see, when policies fell apart, a lot of trouble comes in because nobody cares. You know, we need to follow a rule. Military has some rules. That's what we need to follow. But now, if your boss doesn't know the rules.
So let me bring this military term.
Okay.
Like you always said, the boss is always right.
You said there are 2 rules that go from the armed forces.
Yes.
Rule number 1 says the boss is right.
Yeah.
Rule number 2 says if the boss is wrong, refer to rule number 1.
Yeah.
But if the boss also did the wrong thing,
Yeah.
don't worry, the ripple effects will be in the armed forces. And it was there. Do you know why? During the Farafanya attack.
So
I'm coming.
okay.
I got up that early morning from the State House because, you know, they have all the support weapons. I said, I am going to hit these people. While I was telling the youth, I don't want to mention name, the battalion commander at Yundu, prepare a company. They're going to fight these people because at that present, it looks like those at Farafanya are a little bit traumatized. You know what the commanding officer told me? Sir, I cannot move unless it's daybreak. Why? Halfway along the line, they said that I'm preparing for a coup.
You seem to be
go
worried.
to Yundum.
You seem to be worried too much about your image.
Not my image. What I'm telling, at the time of the coup, all the senior officers were discharged. Do you know that? I was left with second lieutenants, apart from Colonel Jara, Koka, Pamodu An, and some Sidinsar came later, and Baji.
Okay.
They were all Peter, they were all subalterns.
Let me ask.
So what was happening? Everything that we do, I have to be on the ground.
Was it Osman Baji or Baboucarr Jatta or Aisatunjai Sedi? Among these 3, who gave orders for these people to be shot? Simple answer.
Nobody. You see, if you pursue that.
So no, okay,
No. Aisatunjai Sedi did not give me an order.
No.
At the time we were talking to Aisatunjai Sedi, even Susan were there. The whole office was full.
Now, you tell me, among 3 of you, who gave orders?
I did not give orders.
Did Aisatunjai Sedi give orders?
Where are we talking about? Because I have one critical position. Was it about Canifing?
We're talking about generally. Because, yeah.
I did not give any order. I gave any order for any soldier to open fire on
Was it Jammeh who called and gave orders?
Not me.
Was it Jammeh who called? Was it Osman Sonko, the former interior minister, who came and gave orders?
No, not me. Not to give orders to who?
To the soldiers to shoot the students.
Unfortunately, you know, sometimes the State House have a different program from the mainstream army. But I am telling you, even the...
So, Baboucarr, what type
listen, let me just put this point through. During the 11th November, I was the only person who came from the mainstream, and I saw Kanye. Mofa Kanye.
Okay.
But the rest were all from the State House, and they were giving orders.
So what type of army head of was Baboucarr Jatta? All these things happen. So were you there like, yes, sir, CDS? Because you should know who shot this thing. Are you going to take responsibility for that? Because
I will take responsibility for the case of Brikamaba, where I stood and sent my men. But in the case of Sarah Canifing, I was just helping the police. I was the only person there. Why should I marshal the arm of the police with the minister there, the deputy IG there, Baba Job there, everybody there? Who am I to just come and interrupt, push everybody out?
Because you are the CDS.
No.
So who should be responsible? You took responsibility for Brikamaba incident.
Yes, that one for sure. But if anything here, the minister should take responsibility.
Which Osman Baji?
Osman Baji.
How about Yaya Jammeh? He was the commander.
He's the overall boss. If he failed to take any disciplinary action against us, then he's also in trouble, also. Yeah. That's the thing. You know, in between Rex King file.
Okay, but after the incident...
But Rex King shouldn't have gone like that.
You were at a National Security Council meeting.
Wow.
So,
after the incident?
After the incident. So what was the main thing? Did anybody say, okay, XYZ gave the orders?
It was never mentioned. Look, when I came from the crowd, I only had 10 minutes at the Vice President's office. I was told to go and prepare. You know, I also have to prepare my men, brief them. But you know, I was telling during the TRIC, I was telling us a shit on that introduction to our main paper. But on the ground, I came with some plans. I don't go to battlefield without plans. But you know what happened?
So that was the reason?
No, let me learn.
Okay.
The ones we got was the one put on the air by 1 o'clock news. And that was the one they faxed to me. But just to avoid embarrassment, to say all this, we're not going to take this. We can give out our own orders, quite different from what we've seen. Because to some level, I felt that is a little bit provocating when they said shooting came from the crowd. So, it was on the paper, on the news. So
that was... But you know, you look at these students, you know, these are harmless people. There is no high value target there. Well,
yes.
The problem you people have at the time was because as we, well, these are volatile areas. You have the Radio Gambia, you have industries around Kanifing, you have the, and many other banks and so on. Was that the reason you decided?
Well, you are fed with some of this thing I have sent to the TRIC. Why are you talking about that?
No, no.
Okay, let's talk about it. Fine.
Yeah.
I felt that I need to secure Radio Gambia for the purpose of not having to see any other problem coming from the armed forces.
Right.
That 11 November thing has triggered a serious problem, security problem among ourselves.
Right.
You see, we in the armed forces, we believe that once there's a problem, don't run away just like that. Solve the problem. Once the problem is done, then you can quit. Because at the end of the day, the investigation will come, not so.
Yeah.
But did you see what the Chief Justice wrote on me? It doesn't warrant me to leave. I have one of the best recommendations because of my actions I have taken. But now, again, this other side is saying, no, it's rubbish. So which one is which?
So
in the next administration, they may say, no, that one is good.
So do you have sleepless nights?
I don't have sleepless nights.
You are not bothered about the killing of these
no, I'm very worried. Life's gone under my authority. But then we know what happened. I don't know, Jammeh gave amnesty to everybody. Yeah. We are still asking for that report for our office, for posterity. But we did not get the report. Keita got fired. That's why when you listen to me, if we have to go to the court, I will tell the court circumstances that led to Keita's discharge. But not for you, the press. I don't want it to be there like that.
No, you tell me. Do you have regret? Because a lot
I regretted
the killings.
I regretted. At the end of the day, what they wrote against me, for me, against me at the Force Commission, the latter commission, I was convinced that I have taken a position. But if it were the opposite, certainly I would go. Even if for nothing, I will lose my moral. I will lose my moral authority. Do you know what I mean by saying lose your moral authority? Yeah. You become the commander. You tell the soldiers do this thing, and they start there working like a basically unprepared. You are gone. You are finished.
It was under your time.
But when the soldiers who have been shot in Fajara barracks with Sabali and Edward, in fact, at some level, Sabali even rejected. What was going on? They called me, and I find my. You know what happened to the commanding officer, Marong, a police officer. Okay, this was a problem that we can handle. Imagine I told him that these people are taking you, these men. You are closer to these men. Marong, get up and let's go. He refused. He was in the office crying.
It was under Baboucarr Jatta's time when all these things happened.
Yes,
the killing. Yes. You were standing when 11 men were gone down. When
let me tell you that one.
No, let me finish.
Okay. When they were 11 men were gone down,
yeah.
I was there. But those were dead bodies already.
Okay.
You know why I said so?
Okay.
Can you bayoneted them all? Somebody could panic. Stomach bayonet. You know that bayonet? Those sharp thing at the.
I know.
A bayonet.
Kanye
was ready with them.
So you were there?
No, when he was doing it, when the vehicle was moving.
Okay.
So by the time we went to this place, forest, we turned around, we saw this blood. We checked those people. It was just like what to do with them.
So from there, over a dozen students were shot under when you were CDS.
Yes.
Junglers were formed under this when you were there.
Watch out.
Okay, you don't want to
Okay, let me rectify that place.
Okay.
We have them as Black Scorpion during my time.
Certainly, that's what turned to be.
Yes, then we have this Italian, Francisco Casio.
I understand. So,
do you know how Casio ran away? I personally threatened him.
I understand. But all these things, don't you think you left a toxic legacy? You have a toxic legacy as the former chief of defense staff when all this, the worst things happened during your time.
So what do you think I should have done better?
No, you answer my question first.
Yes, I was in charge. You may say toxic legacy, but to others, not a toxic legacy. Toxic legacy. That's something that has to do with
toxic
bad
legacy.
Reputation.
Yeah. Do you think you did a good job with the Gambia Armed Forces?
I did a very good job with the Gambia Armed Forces.
So were you just there as the head, but suddenly Jammeh was given commands?
If that's the case, that's a matter of understanding his role as the commander-in-chief.
Yeah, but even the commander...
Yes, he was interfering.
He was interfering.
At some levels, he does interfere, because otherwise I wouldn't have put those police officers as CDS battalion commanders, because they have never had the basic. Why
didn't you step aside? Because Jammeh's interference will taint your image.
I am telling you, at some level, you do what you say. You have to advise them, look, this won't work. No, it will happen. Today, let's say if you have your boss, and you're telling your boss, this won't happen.
Well, I do.
How would you feel?
No,
look, you outside who are not under command, huh? That is why I also question the TRC about what we call legal and illegal order.
But okay,
orders.
So should
illegal orders are murder, treason. I told you these three people: treason, rape, and terror. Nowadays, terrorism. When such these crimes are committed, you can send a man to the.
So, but should you take illegal orders?
No. I don't take illegal orders.
So, but you were...
If I were a yes sir man, by the time I would have been a 3-star general.
So, but you were there when all these illegal things were happening.
But we battled. Didn't I put some people accept them to accept a court martial?
No, that's just one point. But why didn't
imagine?
you
If I hadn't intervened, Nyankabare, Abu Tarawale, and others, they would have been shot.
You are credited for that. But along the way, some other things you've been credited for saving, because the problem initially was you are able to manage Jammeh, but you cannot manage Jammeh's deputy. That was the problem.
Sabal.
Yes.
He's the easiest.
But why didn't you?
We have a relationship. You see, when I talk to him, he do understand. Sana, on the 23rd of July, he came to pick Major Bojang and Alaji Kante. And I was at the Yundum then. I said, look, let's face this man. They refused. I went to him. I said, sir, you're picking all these people and taking them to Mile 2. They may not come back. You're going to leave a very big space here. In the event we need them, we will not be able to get them. Please. So, he looked at me and he laughed. He said, I think you are right. He went back.
Like I said, these students were not high-value targets.
No.
So why didn't you use tear gas and rubber bullets?
At the time
Okay, continue. At the time
of being at Westfield, the police have confirmed that there was no tear gas, even in this country.
Okay, there was no tear gas.
You know, let's talk about one thing. It's the level of unpreparedness that have hit us.
So that's why.
Because this army is not meant to fight a conventional war. It was meant to fight internal security problems, mostly. Like rebellion, what happened with Kukoi? Not so. Coup d'etats, anything attempt on the legitimacy of the government.
So,
but we used to train on IS, internal security, and this is the same drill, gas, how do you call it, mask, and so on. But what happened this time around? When it happened, I gave my property, my own, to the police, and I got a new set.
So the only option left with the army, in order to neutralize these people, was to shoot and kill.
So,
huh?
That was too extreme.
And you were the head of the military.
But I did imagine where we are going to, you know, you don't know a problem with you journalists.
Okay.
You will see a problem, you know about it, but you want it to come from somebody's mouth. This is the case as lawyers.
Okay.
You see, when Elsa Falvi were down there, he will always push me so that I said X. You know, sometimes X, talking about X is implicating.
Okay.
They talk about
Ajim
and Wowo. You see now the problem.
Why using a life round on harmless citizen?
Boy, sincerely, I do not. Okay, it has happened.
Yes, but why?
But the purpose of having life round is that our dress codes are weapons. See, apart from personal errands, do you ever see a Gambian soldier in the street with weapons?
No, I understand.
If you see them carry weapons, they have an assignment. And that assignment, I cannot determine that assignment. I must be told, go to this place. If you feel that you are giving this assignment to Baboucarr Jatta, I'm going to go with my weapons.
So who bypassed Baboucarr Jatta and gave orders to these soldiers to shoot?
Well, I don't know. We will come to that end. One day. You want me to tell you, and you ask me how did it happen? I went down there thinking that I was with Rex King. Because you know that we were calling the DGNI since 3 a.m. We never get it. But by virtue of some of the functions for the National Guard in the Constitution, we have been allowed to back up the police. So I was talking with Rex King, but then a little thing also happened. They fired Rex King unofficially. I cannot just listen why they fired him. I cannot understand.
Okay.
Because Rex, yes, he was doing the right thing. He has to sit in that office so that he can coordinate activities. But unfortunately, on the ground, he was not in charge.
There was a lot of confusion.
Yes.
Eventually, you were kind of apprehended, if I might put it that way, by the students, and you were kind of with them roaming
Chief.
around.
Yes, Chief.
Yeah.
I can tell you that boys, they highly respected me. They were saying I was beaten. They make me march.
They made you march.
No.
But eventually, you just married the ground and they fire shots. Did you?
I never knew that the police are going to come.
But you married the ground, and when you
yes, as a soldier, down, down, down. You know what's the purpose of down? They were shooting at that range. What's that? From here to my main gate. That's 35 meters, huh? Can you imagine? When I had the first shot, that was too loud. I straight away know that this was a life round. You know, there's one problem here. So I gave these weapons to the police in 1995.
So this was pre-planned. This shooting was pre-planned.
Yeah, but they should have allowed me to come out. Even at the range, there was no way.
No, what I'm saying, it wasn't spontaneous. It was pre-planned because when you signaled them, according to what
No.
According to what most people said. When these armed men came, you just signaled them and you just went down. That's what
I was in the crowd.
Yes, you were in the crowd, but you signaled them. Some said you blink your eyes. That was when the firing started.
How can you see me blinking my eye at 35 minutes?
Well, you are a military man. Of course, you have a military language.
You see, if the vice president hadn't intervened at that moment, we will forget about the student's case.
So the Asadunjai said he will be held responsible for this. For the shooting, because certainly if the president was not in the country, she was in charge, she was the president. So do you think she should be responsible?
If she is responsible, if you think as you are, somebody should also take judgment on her. Not so.
What exactly do you mean?
He should also be told to resign.
That's another day. I'm going to interview her. Sure. Yes, but I'm asking, do you think she should be? Okay, now, you don't want to take responsibility.
See, I will take the responsibility on Brikama incident. That's what I'm telling you. No argument about that.
Because nobody died in Brikama.
They died.
Okay, but
we thought it was two.
Okay.
But later part at the TRC, more men, how about injuries?
Okay, but only 2 people died, several other
initially at the first meeting.
Okay.
But at the TRC, the case, I think the number went to, I can't remember, but it was more than 2.
So you will take responsibility for that?
I sent my men there with an order.
But why didn't you learn from the lesson from Kanifing? Because you knew.
No. It was on the 10th.
Okay.
On the 11th, I sent my commanding officer. Even you know that on the 10th, I told every commanding officer that you are directly responsible because you cannot give this to subalterns. So let's be clear here.
Baboucarr Jatta.
When my men came, we, the former present CDS took Talinde.
Okay.
All we wanted to do is there's an agenda written in the TRS which I will not read to you.
So now,
all I did was we are to protect life and property. When Vincent came from Yundo, he dropped at Sukuta.
Okay.
We got Baba Job at Tipagaras. Vincent told me, what do I do with Baba Job? I said, look, give me the phone. I want to talk to him. I told him, Baba, this time around, this is a military operation. It's not police. You cannot be an assistant secretary and be with us. Get out of that place. If we get you for the second time, Baba, this is trouble. And he took my advice, went back to office. But at Westfield, they were booing him. He was armed. So we need to investigate this thoroughly. But now, unfortunately, Baba is not alive.
So
Sankumbaji was so sick, he later died. So the rest of it is, if you have police investigators, active serving, but wouldn't they favor their superiors against other regions? Because what I learned from the TRS, if I got them correctly, was that this is devoid of all securities. But now we want and found active serving police officers investigating us.
So Baboucarr Jatta will take responsibility for the deaths in Brikama.
For sure.
But not in Carnivore and other places.
No. I won't do that. These boys gave me that platform. You do know that they were carrying a stool. Sometimes when I lost breath, they say, stand on this and take some breath. At that point in time, they are looking for somebody who would solve that problem. Because if they were not shooting at Westfield and we brought this crowd to Westfield, they would have met Omar Juf.
Okay.
And I told the police, give your PA system to Omar Juf. I'll bring a chair from, I'll pick up a table from St. Teresa's. Maybe the watchman will allow me to use one so that he can speak out of the PA system. But they refused it.
So now.
So that was when Yeah.
Tell me about your brother. Also was arrested and he was taken to the TRRC. Likewise, you.
Yeah.
So many people said, you okay? Let me put it this way: you are the one who left him and took him to the army.
Yes.
And eventually he was involved in the junglers and he confessed participating.
When I left.
Well, but before he left,
he was not that.
He was, but he told you he wasn't going to work for almost 6 years.
Yes.
More than 6 years. And the question you asked him was, why are you not going to work? Baboucarr Jatta is a military man, and he told you he was on standby to go for peacekeeping. And we know that several contingents went to Darfur and other countries. They came back. But did you, as a head of the military, why did you, even as a former head, you should know how long does it take for a soldier to be on standby to go for a peacekeeping operations or peace enforcement, either or?
Organizational problem.
So who do you hold responsible for that?
The CDS and the president.
But you are the one who took this young man to the army.
Yes, that's my brother. I want him to. But you know that he's a high school product.
He's
a high school product and he has the qualification to be an officer. I would have commissioned him as others were doing. But I told him that you're going to hustle on your own. Don't see me as a mentor. That was why this lieutenant was given to him after the impasse.
Okay.
He was a warrant officer class 1.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He was a class officer class 1. He had to hustle by himself.
Okay.
I had the other one at immigration. I said, go and hustle like any other person. That trying to say to favor you people in this armed force, I'm not going to take it.
Okay.
It's not fair. You tell me, against who? Others.
I think, okay, we will continue. You deal with him for the meantime. Gentlemen, you can come.
Well, like
so, I'm still here with...
okay.
Yeah, no, carry on. I'm still here with the former Chief of Defense Staff of the Gambia Armed Forces, Mr. Baboucarr Jatta. He's serving various capacities, and as you know, he was in charge of the military when students were shot and killed in April 2000. According to the government white paper, 15 people, including journalists, Red Cross volunteers, and even passerbyers were killed. So to continue with the conversation, that's what we are discussing now. So let's talk about Malik's issue now. So eventually he joined the military.
You know that Malik is tough.
I understand.
And he's a disciplinarian.
Yeah.
Sometimes when we talk, we will always disagree at home. He is that type, a typical NCO, non-commissioned officer.
Okay.
Now, you see how he comported himself? Look, let me tell you one thing, Wally. From private soldier to RSM are on contract. Do you know that?
Okay, RSM,
every 5 years.
So for the interest of our listeners, RSM is Regimental Sergeant Major.
Regimental Sergeant
Major.
Major.
If you're talking to our military, our viewers, they should maybe you come to their level so that they understand.
Okay.
So now, eventually, he was involved. Did you make an effort to get him out of this jungle business when people have been, subjected?
Labeled.
Okay. You knew he was part of it. But did you make any effort to take him out of this?
I did. I wish Late Bajinka was here. Late Bajinka.
But you...
My duty is to dismantle any other organization I see that doesn't work in line with our army principles.
No, what I'm talking here, we are not talking about a military person. It's Baboucarr Jatta talking to his younger brother.
Yes.
So why was he not listening?
The problem is, what's going to be the consequences if he just abruptly quit that place and say, I'm not going to go to work? We are talking about a revolution as at nowadays.
But he told you, so which means that you know the activities.
Okay, wait until he complained to me. No, I don't know the activity. When I left the armed forces, I left for good. If they don't come here, I don't want them to come here.
You left for good, but your eyes and ears were still in the army, up to now.
I am telling you, the CDS, apart from Masane, Kinte, and Yankuba Drame, those are the only people who ever lift the phone and say, how are you doing?
Okay, but eventually he was arrested.
I distanced myself, and we know that the order they used to give was when they used to tell you, when you leave the army, leave completely. You don't even hand over correctly.
Okay,
but now those things are coming back. You see when Masane Kinte and Yankuba Drame were handing over, that's typical military procedure. So regimented procedure.
He was arrested, and yes. you asked him to stay, not to run away.
On the day they came for him at Tujera,
okay.
I told him, don't run. These people will come. Because he told me that others have been picked up. I said, don't run. As a man, you don't run. As I reached Tanje, by the beach side, I saw the military police going. I know that they're going to, if I call him, something could happen. I know that they're going to go to pick him up. They went down there, they talked to him nice, and they accepted. And he came with it. Why is he going to run? For how long would he remain outside?
So now, when you asked him to stay,
yes,
but when he was under detention, you said he should foot the bill.
He should foot?
He should foot the bill. He should deal with the consequences. That was a rift.
Who said so?
They said you. That's what you said.
That
Malik,
they said I say so.
Yeah, Malik, and he wasn't happy with it. Look
you see,
here.
they even told Malik.
Yeah.
They even told Malik, and he was very unhappy about it. I said, look, I cannot visit you at the barracks.
Okay.
But here is a problem, which I do not like to talk to him about.
Okay.
We are going to talk about the ripple effects of what happened.
Okay.
These people were under restriction of privilege. Before they go on the TRRC, the military police should take their statements for our own consumption. Quite different from that of TRRC. So within 60 days, if nothing has happened, they should form an ad hoc committee, revisit the same case, and find out that the armed forces have no say in this. We hand them over to the police. Handing over to the police means handing over to the judiciary, Attorney General's office. Do you know that?
Okay. Now, when you
I'm just talking.
Okay.
Just allow me to talk.
Okay. Okay.
But all this did not happen. They were detained for Malik was detained for 2 years. I think the other gentleman was just recently released. At the end of the TRRC, what happened? They were left there. Is that not a violation of their right? So in the future, let's watch out for that. You see, two wrongs cannot make a right. Jammeh detained OJ and others for 1 year plus, not so. Detained some officers at the central prison for beyond the required time. If the TRRC also is telling the armed forces to keep these people under ROP, that's restriction of privilege, military terminology.
Yeah.
Huh? That was also wrong.
When you talk to most Jammeh supporters, they said crimes did not happen in this country. As a former head of this military, what is your take on that? Do you think that crimes were committed and by Jammeh?
Are you talking about this new administration? Crimes are not committed?
No, we're talking about Jammeh.
Let me tell you.
Of course, crime.
PPP.
No,
were crimes not committed during the PPP?
Crimes were committed on the Jawara,
yes,
on the
they
Jammeh,
will also come.
and it will continue. But
yes, but what's most important here, collateral damages must be controlled. Let's talk about them. You know why I'm allowing you to talk to me today? I think whatever we say here, we will look at it properly in a better context and then see how best we can address this issue. In fact, I attributed this problem to the TRRC to look into it. I used to tell Asa, he said, but we have a short mandate.
Because I think...
we cannot stop it. How about America? Look at, denying Fatou Bensouda to go to Afghanistan. The so-called most disciplinary army, committing atrocities of all magnitude at the highest level. Boy, you know what's happened? Let me tell you one thing. Once you grip that weapon, you yourself you are not safe with that weapon. You see what happened to this Farfar incident? When I called Landing, I said, why can't you take your weapons to the army and they help you access these weapons? It could be there was some problem also. Not so. We gave them the weapons without experts. I did this proposal in 1995. Listen, I gave 90 AK-47 to the police in 1995. 1.5 million rounds of live ammunition and 1 million rounds of blank ammunition for the purpose of establishing the PIU. All the other secretaries of state who came, and I was advising them, look, establish a unit to be arresting civilians, not the army. They said in England, London, police don't carry weapons. I said, but this is the Gambia. But when Captain Kababajo came, he was convinced. So I gave them the weapons. We created the PIU. You know, in the fight, I used to give migraine. Yes, but they need to be trained also. What I saw at the student demonstration was appalling. Nowhere in this world would you fire an AK-47 running, standing, pa, 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 pa.
Okay, look here. So now you tell me.
And they were, let me tell you, this is how they've had it. You see, by the time they come back, ND, they hit a pole while we were standing, and everybody was running away from them.
So do you agree with the white paper that you, Asadonia Sedi, Osman Baji, and Ajami should be prosecuted?
How can you tell me, how can I pray that Yallamade? That's not possible. But if they said you have committed a crime, what can I do?
Should Jammeh be prosecuted for crimes allegedly committed in the Gambia?
That's left to the authorities, to the government, not me. But if it's left to me, I will prefer Jammeh to come and sit here quietly as a citizen, like what he did for Jawara.
So, but
look, one day, you know what he did to this man, how do you call it? You know, Kwame Nkrumah. all those who overthrew Kwame Nkrumah had worse language for against him. But by the time JJ came, he said we need to reconcile things. And Barrow is also out for reconciliation, but a little bit of, yeah, you see, but as at now, they may see things at a different angle. You know, but he did everything for Sadauda, not so.
Yes,
and you know that once Sadauda, after the amnesty, Sadauda called me.
But Sadauda was not accused of atrocities like the gravity that happened on the German.
What happened in 81?
That was extra-constitutional men pick up arms against Jawara, and it could not be handled. So eventually,
let me tell you one thing.
Okay.
Sadauda is my commander-in-chief.
He was your commander-in-chief.
Yes. He was, sorry.
Yeah,
Jammeh was my commander-in-chief.
Jammeh was your commander.
And Barrow will remain the commander-in-chief, retired, even if he's not there.
Right.
You see, we don't want to create circumstances where people will see this. You see, all this noise about Barrow is a silent, very silent, and so on. We don't want it to reach the army. You know why? Because he's our big boss. He's not your commander-in-chief. He's your chief executive. He's my chief executive. He's your president. He's my president. But he's my commander-in-chief and not your commander-in-chief.
Okay, now, you know...
We had very high regards for those people. You see, if you want to knock our heads, you will run into serious problem.
So,
if Barrow said that go and execute Jatta today, I will not utter a word.
So, do you regret some of the actions carried out by your brother? Because you are the one who took him to the army and he ended up in...
if he confessed committing those
crimes,
as he has confessed, I would certainly say, yes, still, it's the same thing I was saying. We are sorry. Including myself, including my brother, any other person, and others whom we have not yet known. You know, they have not talked to others yet.
So you're going to apologize on behalf of your own family?
Yes.
You have that opportunity now.
I'm telling the whole Gambia, the whole world, as my brother rightly said, we are brothers, we can never separate. If there's something that has hurt him, you know, it has really hurt him.
Okay.
You listen carefully to, you do not listen to what Malik was saying. You see, after one incident, Malik realized that he was being used. He started to resist them. They put him out of this job for quite a long time. One day I said, Malik, what's the problem? You're always at home. I said, I'm working. He will not take any nonsense. I know him. But you know, he has a situation where he got to go back. Do it or you fit the bill. So he managed himself until the whole thing ended. Why didn't they give him lieutenant earlier? The boys he trained, not in the first, second, or third batch, fifth batch were lieutenants. Why was he not given lieutenant? He said he's going to run. If he runs, he's going to complicate matters. Do you know what happened? Look at IFIN officially when they were escorting Jammeh to, how do you call it, Equatorial Guinea. Those people blundered a little bit, Tamba and, how do you call it, Umpa.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't know. They would have written to the armed forces to say, we are escorting this head of state or we are going out of this country. Just have something on paper to the CDS. Then he will publish it in the Part 1 orders. When you come back, he will decide whether to reinstate you or not. But it never happened. So right now, he would have just handed over these people to the police and forget about, take their statement. We like taking statements. You know, that's why we have the military police.
But those two men were charged with desertion.
But I don't know how it happened. Yes, desertion has happened. Yes. Because they did not inform them, the CDS on the Part 1 orders. They never informed him that we are going, but we may come back, or we may not even come back. You cannot leave your place of duty without informing the CDS. If they had written to the CDS, there would be some little bit of advantage.
So
there and then, the commander-in-chief would say, service no longer required. Do you know that this is possible for the president?
Yeah.
Do you know that I cannot dismiss an officer? I can only dismiss a soldier. But not even beyond, I cannot dismiss an RSL. We need them. They are the fighting men. These are the people we used to abuse. That's why we have the military police to protect them at all levels for the CDS. We're not protection, not in the sense that one commit a crime and we give you the credit. No.
So finally,
a procedure. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So they did not write to the CDS to tell him that we are escorting the president, or for some reason, they left on their own.
So,
but you know that they are not trained. So they are generals.
What is finally?
Yes.
What is your take on the government's white paper that says you should face prosecution?
What can I do? I'll take it with good heart, in good faith.
Are you ready to face the...
I am prepared.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, because if it's endorsed by the commander-in-chief, even if he said go and execute them, I will not run away. Look, once a soldier, always a soldier.
Do you have confidence in the TRRC?
I have some bots, observatory bots.
Okay.
That's what we are just discussing.
Okay.
One, this TRRC, when does it start? 10 a.m. To 5 p.m. in the evening, afternoon. What were civil servants doing? People are on the television.
Yeah, but
let's come. People are on the radio. People were on the phone listening. In the evening, when they should be sleeping and resting for the following day, 10 p.m., TRRC, repeated version. I am saying it has also caused some problem added to this COVID problem.
So, but that is it.
They were giving a lengthy time to expose themselves. But now here's the situation. In 1995, when I arrested those rebels from Farafenni, you know, I put them on the television. Mrs. Sabali called me to say, you are violating their rights. I said, yeah. He said, yes. I said, unfortunately, we don't know, so we stopped. Now, here's a situation where we have also been interrogated, because this is not an investigator, interrogated. You put me on the international satellite. Now, which one is which? Did they violate our right too? You tell me about it. Is that not a violation of my right?
No, these are two completely different scenarios.
How?
You paraded people accused of plotting a coup d'etat.
Okay.
And
a counter coup.
Okay. Either or. You paraded
in Africa, counter coups are very, very bloodless.
Yeah, so you paraded them on a television. These are accused of...
Yes.
And they don't have
killing
any...
soldiers.
And you just parade them against their will. You put them on televisions. Kind of even in front of everybody that these people are guilty of a crime. Unlike your case, you were invited. You gave a statement. You have a choice to either give public, to either go in the public or behind the cameras. You have that option, but they don't have that. So that is the difference between.
There was an instance. Esa was not very happy because there was a case. The one I was saying, listen, we have a situation where we are saying, going to on the camera that my plan. I don't want it to be there. But thank God he was so smart. He covered it. I told him that, look, I don't want to talk about situations why you will mention this contingency plan that I put for my operations. Because it's going to jeopardize the security of this place. He said, but they did not tell me. I said, that's all. But you see how we avoid it? Not so. But what we are saying, in as much as the TRRC has its own merit.
So you only have problem because TRRC will be broadcasting from 10 a.m. to 5 or 4 p.m. So, but we are not worried. We are not worried. We are saying on the government side. So, but you are happy with the composition of the lead council?
Yes, for so. You see, don't mind him. Sometimes we talk. We say everything they say, ESA.
So do you have...
But why wouldn't they say, let me see, chairman, or CEO? Yeah, but do you know he is the punch bag?
But that was a very trivial issue. Like, if it's, of course, ESA, because it was...
But today he's affected.
How is he affected?
Now he got involved in politics. But I once talked to ESA Jallo.
But
I said, why not manage your PR properly?
No, but
he said there was no funding.
So
if we had been listened to, that small illiterate from Tujere would have also contributed to putting up a very good PR for the TRRC. We don't want people to go. Look, some people are totally against it. But APRC, you think that APRC will endorse it?
No, but it's of course.
You know, we are divided on political lines.
But these are the same people who will say,
yes,
nothing happened in the Gambia, nothing bad happened, but along the way they will be like, okay, let's just reconcile. Is that not a contradiction?
Look, that's saying in Ulysses said the mobs are easily swayed. Where you talk fluently, they will follow. Next month somebody condemns you, they retract.
Is it proper for supporters of Jammeh to sit and say nothing happened in this country, no killings, nothing?
What position were they holding?
Well, from senior officers,
look,
to rank and file.
I had a friend here.
No, just answer my question.
Okay, let's go.
So should they deny all the atrocities, alleged atrocities committed in the Gambia? Is it fair to Gambians for somebody to say nothing happened that left a bad taste in many mouths?
So it's going to be the case. Even if Barrow left, is he going to accept that he has they will accept it. I'm saying that they are also speaking on. They have the right to make comments. Also.
Yeah, but
they have the right to make comments. So they would also say, but would that stop the TRRC from going on or force Barrow to do what he wouldn't like to do against the people, public opinion?
So, Baboucarr Jatta, finally, who gave orders to shoot the student?
That is the biggest question mark.
And after 20 years...
If I had been given orders to shoot, I would not. Look, we have been in so many crises. We may not know. Look, listen here. Barrow is now 6 years on the seat. Did you hear any coup attempt?
Well, there was one in 2017 or 2018.
Oh boy, that is very minimal. That's negligible.
Okay.
But for Jammeh, every 6 months. You know why? If we accept that we have uprooted a constitutionally elected government. So for sure, we made some mistakes here. Was it not every July 22nd that Edward will be on television telling people how they run coup d'etats, how they coup d'etat Jawara?
So now you tell me.
Let's finish this one.
Okay.
Huh? But we were telling them, don't do this. This is not good for us. You're provoking a part of the community. Not so. But it was going on and on. And now when they attempt him, he'll get up. Now which one is which? You want it to be publicized on the television how smart you are. And somebody wanted to act smartly against you. Well, that one is an offense.
So now you tell me, so what do you think Jammeh should do now? Now that the TRRC recommendation, even though he did not testify, what do you think is the best thing for him to do to respond to some of these allegations?
We thought, for me, as a soldier,
I
prefer we talk to the public. Apologize to the public. Look, there's no one government that will come without crisis. If you want to see crisis, let's go to the case of Casamassa, of all these presidents, atrocities committed there. You know, I know it's not my business, but let's take an example. And other places, therefore. Worse than that. So we are saying, the Barrow can reconcile every Gambian on this aspect. Now that there's a repression going on, his word will cover everything for us. We are worried. For sure, we are worried that during our era, so many mistakes have been committed. Out of, not ignorance, but we were timid. Not so.
You have one opportunity here to talk to Jammeh. What message you have?
I have not talked to Jammeh.
No, I'm here. I said you have an opportunity.
Should I have that opportunity?
Yeah, now that you are talking, because so many people are going to watch this. Yes. What will be your message to Jammeh? Just here.
My message to Jammeh would be, I really don't know what's the problem as of now. You know, Jammeh left this country. I really don't know what agreement they have made.
Let's talk about the message.
Yes, the message would be, let's forget about everything on Jammeh's issue and let him come back. We want him here. Sure. We don't want to have our heads of state, people who are served in that parade. We don't want this to be repeated. Already we've learned our lessons, not so.
So should he apologize and we move on, or you want him to come and face the music and then...
That's left to him.
So if you are to advise him...
If I were to advise him, just do us really. Talk to the people, accept it, and let's forge ahead. You know, that's my personal opinion.
So why do you think most of his supporters are in denial? Why are they in denial that nothing happened?
Because everything has been politicized.
But you don't politicize in a situation where that led to loss of life.
We not politicize. We are technocrats. We are not politicians. We are not bureaucrats. I was a technocrat then.
So, okay, finally...
We work for somebody.
What message do you have for all those who were
affected?
One
way or the other.
Right. Victims and their families.
I still continue to say. Let me mention one thing. You know, they said, well, if you need some kind of permission, if you want to be granted amnesty, you go to where and you fill the paper. At that point in time, I was sick.
So you wanted to apply an amnesty?
If I were okay by that time, yes, what's wrong with that? We have to cooperate.
So will you?
It's like if you are handcuffed, they say go to the left. You go to the left, go to the right, not so. We are not in this where we have to deny. like those days when you have to call some government officials to come to the TRIC commission, latest commission, they resist. So they will not, until he called me, and I said, any soldier who was called to the commission will not go, I will deal with you.
Now, the government is saying they kind of scrap all the amnesties, but they want to get into plea deals. So
plea
deals. So
yes,
do you want to go in for that? You'll be served as a witness instead of stand as a perpetrator.
Yes.
What do you want to do?
I will plea. I'll go for the plea. I'm sorry.
So no. I'm not saying you plea kind of to tell people. I mean plea deals.
What?
Plea deals.
Okay.
For them to use you as a state witness against other people. Is that what you want to do?
Don't do that. Huh? Let them know. I will not recommend that. You know what's going to happen?
Are you going to accept? Are you going to do that, or are you going to face the judge as a
I will come in if what I have said is correct to all those people. When I say a witness is, as you said, students were shot. Who gave the order? You know, if the court call me for that, I'll appear. I'll give my own version. We are not going to hesitate to tell the people what have the truth. And I want them also to respect. We are not playing dilly-dally with this whole thing. I'm not a police officer. I'm a soldier. We don't know these things. When we commit offenses, who foots the bill? Politicians. So we cannot stand and say, no, this, no, that, no. And provoke the society or the community. We don't do that.
What?
I would have sat at the TRC. When Esa goes left, I go right. But when I felt that I was responsible, I take. But here, I want to say, not only do I put the blame on the Interior Minister, I put the blame also on me. Now imagine if I had, by the time I got to London, I decided not to go to the scene and distance myself from this scene.
You know what?
Now you see, I learned that somebody, only to be told that some soldiers want to do their own thing. Our problem is coordination was a problem here. I'll tell you that. Command and code. Coordination.
You know what?
Yes, between the services. Here, command and control was a problem.
You know what puzzled me about Baboucarr Jatta?
Yes.
Baboucarr Jatta still did not know after 20 years who gave orders to shoot the student, to shot them.
Yes.
But Baboucarr Jatta has an eye when an opposition figure was trying to smuggle a letter and give it to former UN Secretary General Kofi Annan. You know that. You spotted that. But you cannot even tell me who gave this thing.
Yes, but you know, in virtually, we don't know what was written in the paper, but we showed.
But
you know what happened was, we said, let's have a background history about the whole thing. It was the issue of this Guinea-Bissau. When Kofi Annan came here to say thank you to your Jammeh.
Right.
And the first pictures on the CNN, I was the one with the grandstanding. I took that Portuguese television to Bra Barracks with the intention that we will share the information with the government, with any other person. So if it had gone so well with us, I was the one going to Guinea-Bissau with Sidat Job, Willie Juf, and sometimes Murian. But on every trip I was there because I have to go to Bra Barracks to talk to Ansuman. You know, sometimes he always have some doubt. We were three together with the former CDS Chief of General Staff of Senegal, General Cisse. Sometimes we fly to Guinea-Bissau for a weekend. That was why when things were getting tough, we talked to, how do you call it, Abdou Diouf. I told Abdou Diouf, we were three in number, we used to visit one another. So the file was changed to Cisse. Cisse gave me his number, he said, give it to Ansumana to call me, live. I gave him, I went to Bra Barracks, the French provided the helicopter. We went there with Sidat, and he called him. And then he started coming down. So he came to visit us. Now we said, let's invite the opposition to this at the airport, throughout the ceremony, to at least Kofi Annan is coming here. We expect a lot of him. So we were there. Myself, the former IGP, Tatimbaji, the former DG Daba Marena.
Okay.
We said, but despite all this, let's pay attention.
Yeah, you can come. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
So you can come. So.
Okay, you take your attire first. So we'll talk about, we very soon we'll conclude this interview, but we're talking about
we are going to pay me.
when former UN Secretary General Kofi Annan came into the country.
So we felt that we should keep an eye watch. But this is what happened, but we did not report to the state there.
So but that guy was trying to smuggle, like I said.
No, I don't know how you call it, left to you.
Okay.
But Kemes at that corner there, Kemeson was coming this way, walking fast. This man was at the top. And we saw them. We are paying attention to whatever happened around those people. You know, it's good for posterity.
So, but you were paying attention, but you could not pay it. You could not still find out who
what was handed over. No.
But you still did not find out. Did you make any effort to know who?
That's the work of the DG, and we don't want anyone to hear about it, even the president, Ndaba Marena. But you know, today he's not alive.
Now, very soon they're gonna commit. They said they're gonna prosecute you and many other people. What message do you have for other people there who have been
those to be prosecuted?
Adversely mentioned, kind of recommended for prosecution when it comes to cooperating with the authorities.
With the authorities. We're going to do whatever they expect us to do. That's all. We are not going to run. We are going to say anything that is contradictory to what we felt we have seen and known. But let me tell you one thing. If I have no proof to say that Wally was involved in this, but we can say, hey, hopefully this man may because of this. Now you're telling me to prove. Did he prove that directly about Jammeh's involvement? Because you must talk to Jammeh. Not so. Before you start telling us all this and so, maybe during the course of the trial, if Jammeh were here, there will be a confrontation, you know? This is the courts. They're not going to put us on the television. You're going to put your own thing around. Where they will put you on the television and start, or are you going to put it on the television again? So that Esa would be telling me that. No. Baboucarr Jatta, answer me yes or no. Or you bloody lie.
Finally, what will be your final message before we
final message to the people?
Yes.
I think from the onset, this was a case of transition, as I said.
Yeah.
We were, we call it a revolution, because if you compare what happened in the past, overthrowing your government, these are the consequences.
Finally, just go to the simple answer.
We will always say to the public that, please, we are very sorry. I still stick to my word. I will apologize on the behalf of the armed forces that we were very sorry. In the past, present, and in the future. We hope we learn our lessons out of this. Okay. Even if I have to be jailed, I wish my predecessors also to know that you cannot stifle civil order. Not so. If it had happened, here's an example. Stick to your principles, stick to your rules and regulations, and don't allow any interference in your politics. People holding this and people holding that end. Be faithful and be loyal to the state and the commander-in-chief, who is the head of the government. This is a principle that we do follow.
Now, okay.
Yes.
Be loyal and faithful to the CDS. But now, quite often, we have seen our security forces do, respond with fire, like with force. What message do you have for them?
You see, this use of force has been, how do I call it?
Not
an agenda I'm coming to it.
Okay. When you
we have been attending serious meetings in the war in America and so on.
Excessive
use of minimum and maximum force.
Reasonable and excessive.
No, not reasonable and minimum and maximum force.
Okay. Either or, yeah.
We couldn't agree on the agreement at an international heads of meeting of the CDS, African heads of states and the Americans. You see, because when they said use of minimum force, that will depend on the situation. Not so. But what is most important, you have to delineate our responsibility. It has to be spelled out categorically clear. The commander-in-chief has the right to deploy the armed forces on circumstances. But sometimes, out of panic, so. If you employ us as it should, let the police be in charge of everything. If they cannot control it, then the armed forces come in. Not so.
Okay.
That's the procedure all over the world. But then, here's a solution also. There must be peace building between these services there, whether you like it or not.
The sister security forces.
Yes, sister services. You know why? On this operation, no crime, and the army say operation restore sanity.
Yeah.
In the past, the army wouldn't have been on their own. We would have fallen behind the police. Don't you see us in the time when we used to carry this raid and so on? But when those, how do you call it? Students, jihadists. That's a problem here in 1999. Burning bus going around. The police ran away. I kept.
Should there be forgiveness? Don't you think there should be justice first before reconciliation?
Yes. Just find out. You have to go to the bottom of everything.
Okay.
Once you got the solution, then there the commander-in-chief will decide what to do, or let's say the state will decide what to do.
You are a military man talking militarily on a military strategy. Let's say there is a student demonstration and it's out of hand.
What out of hand?
Like the student demonstration is out of hand.
What happened in 2000?
Yeah, like something happened in 2000, and the military or the security has to respond. What advice will you give them not to have a repeat of what happened in 2000 and 2000?
Was it the case of this 3 estate now when the army called on Halifa Sallah?
Yeah.
Did you see that one? Go and see what I wrote to the TRRC.
So what will be, as a military man here, what will be your message to the security in curtailing, in neutralizing demonstrators, protesters, and people who are venting their anger?
We know that we have to work in hand in glove with the police and the national intelligence. We will only operate in support of the police because these are civil matters. Those days are when the president will say, okay, you go and do this. Look, if Jammeh told me to go and shoot this man, I say, but this, let him know the implication, not so. But then at the end of the day, it will happen there. You know, if you are talking about Gambia here, let's go until one situation become critical. Okay. We have not faced that situation, except this rebellion. And you see how I crossed them? I would have seated in my office and allow it to spread, and all the funds collected by GRA will come to me. You know that? Then I will build more and more. I will have more and more properties.
Finally.
But we stop all that. We know the situation of the nation. I have never demanded for extra funds for emergency from my 10 years of tenure. So now we are saying, let me just land.
Okay.
The armed forces must come together.
Okay.
We are divided whether we like it or not. Because I cannot see where a staff sergeant equivalent is investigating a CDS. Where?
So,
and these are in a different category with us. We are officers. It's like when you have
you're talking
staff,
about regimentation in the army.
Regimentation in the army. Let's follow the army people. You know why Kanye and others were just jumping, talking and doing what they wanted? Because they felt that they were not protected in whatever they did. We have this odd list. Didn't Sana Sabal say that the odd list did the shooting? But they said that I shot also. Imagine, even in combat, I cannot carry an AK-47. I can only carry a pistol. You know why? Weight and the amount of gadgets you have to take along. You are controlled, or else you may use it against one of your officers who will not like to fight. Do you think it's easy to go into combat? Some of these bullets, as I said rightly, when the police shot at this place, they ran over me. And I don't know what to do. But when I came out, I was so vicious with the whole situation. And I told the minister, didn't you see me? I also went out of control. And I was almost telling you, that's no wonder they appointed a 25-year-old boy as a minister.
I think you have a problem with that young man as a minister. But wasn't it also a problem? The cabinet was not coherent.
This is it. That's why we say, we in the army, we say command and control.
So Baboucarr Jatta was doing his own thing. The then interior minister was doing his own thing.
No, the police came.
No, listen.
Let me land. Yes. As others came in.
You try, as you claim,
yes,
you're trying to mitigate the situation. Some another part, the then Minister of Interior was also putting an effort to make sure that something happened. And Osman Sonko also came and he has his own thing. And Jammeh also called and he was saying a different thing. Anyway, finally, what will be your final message?
Another message again to the people.
Yes.
I'm still saying that we are sorry. And we will continue to say, we don't want to see bloodshed. If it were my brother, how would I feel? I would feel very bad.
Okay.
So if you affect somebody, there was no need to trying to show egos and so on.
Okay.
Tell them that we are sorry.
We're sorry.
That's why we live in this world. We live under a stigma since when I was fired out of my job in 2006. People still live to say, here he is. They killed the students. My kids, no employment. Huh? The daughters and sons of the killers. Huh? Well, you know, am I not a Gambian? Don't you want to respect my position? And you said I've committed that much atrocities. And I'm telling you that, you know that during the Latte Commission, I was highly recommended for my what I took. Because I've made it during the meeting at National Security Council and before the president. That's why Muniri got fired. Instead of giving us the right intelligence, he was nowhere to be found. But we stood by one. After when that press release came, 1 o'clock, I said, look, this could be our introduction, but this is internal problem. You know why? Some of those students affected half relatives in the army. Not so. Yes. If it were an outside enemy that we are fighting, you see that coordination. Information is controlled. But as at this moment, even with that case, the information is controlled there. So we all know about it, that the information will not be controlled. So do what is clear before everybody talk to them clearly and made it clear that this is what we want you to do. Did you ever see in any circumstance they say this man from the mainstream army is committing atrocities? Most of these presidents used to have their own boys. Why did the jungler, why are they restricted to the State House? Why not under the command, my command? Do I have command over them? This is the man who appointed me. Even if I leave the job, somebody who comes will accept it because he said, I want this to happen. Right. Not so. Don't we have Senegalese here under the authority of our presidents? Why should we query? We are in peacekeeping in other countries. Why should we have peacekeeping in our own country too? For a reason, they will be kept here. But also what has been exposed at the TRC, how everybody is beating his chest as coup plotted that I did this. No wonder the economic will remain here.
Economic will remain here?
Yes, that is a threat. Whatever you see at the TRC there, threatening a former government, you could also threaten this other government also.
Right.
And as a soldier, you are still remaining in service. If you do that to me, you will go home.
Finally, I say finally, but let me ask you this final question.
Yes.
What are the consequences of ECOMIC's continued stay for the Gambian army?
Look, this is a decision taken by heads of state and our present head of state.
No, you are speaking here in your capacity as a former military officer.
Yes.
A former head of the Gambian military. That's in your capacity. What do you think?
It's okay. It's troops from the sub-region. Don't we have Nigerians here?
No.
NATAC, yes?
No
NATAC.
way.
No. Let's talk about that NATAC. We have NATAC here.
You know,
and that was not a problem. Now we have ECOMIC in our position here. You see, whatever is discussed at the level of heads of state, it's not for us to digest.
No, what I'm here.
That's why I said, before God na Oga and after God na Oga. Oga has decided.
What I'm saying here, Gambian army, went for peacekeeping, went for peace enforcement.
Yes.
In other parts of the world.
Yes.
But they did more peacekeeping than peace enforcement. What I'm saying, ECOMIC, they came here to flush Jammeh. Jammeh finally left before they arrived. So what? 6 years on, they're still here. What effect will their continued stay have on the Gambian military? Do you think
that questions is for the president? Because, but I will say, we would have played a more important role in the Third Republic.
Do you think? Okay, let me lead you here. Do you think the army is going to be dormant? They're going to be.
As of now?
Yeah.
Yes, they're going to be dormant.
Okay.
For the simple reason, we were supposed to be at the State House protecting this case of state. Okay. That's it. From there on, our patrols, we should be outside in the country to monitor things quite different from civil war. Look, those days are over, like in this modern era of terrorism. And you know that AQM is just at our doorsteps. How are we going to fight those people? What are our contingents for the short, medium, and long term? We need to come with all that and engage that armed forces as of now. Otherwise, not that because of ECOMIC, the Gambia army is redundant. If there is no program for the Gambia army, it will be redundant. Not so. Not so. That's always the case. So it is the duty of this, now that we have a defense minister, we have a CDS, an experienced one. They have to engage them in terms of capacity, personnel, and equipment. They're going to advise the president. When we say commander-in-chief, it doesn't mean that he knows everything. These are experts in their various fields. Not so. Good. If we have ECOMIC here, could it be they are trying to avoid any form of conflict? These are peace monitors. Whatever happens there, they will report to ECOWAS. The president will know although, and something will be done to that to maintain peace. You see, this argument push and pull over civil societies, communities saying this, politicians saying this, opposition saying this against the ruling government brings problem. What problem is Liberia? War in Liberia. But now ECOWAS, as a regional body, should be able to put something in place and practice it. That's to say, we don't want to see countries going, member states going into such problems. We want to see peace all over, and they have to buy for peace, not so. Then living in the Gambia, oh no, Mr. President, I don't think what you are saying is right. Sitting in Nigeria and judging what's going on in the Gambia. But if the president says this is my situation, I would like to keep these people here. But did they affect us? ECOMOG did not affect us. Honestly, they did not affect us, although they got involved in 1 or 2 incidents where we just felt that part of ECOMOG, no. They will also commit their own atrocity, problems here and there. Right. They are also human. I am saying, if the presence of ECOMOG has brought greater peace to this country, let them stay. But you know what's our problem? They always chase our wives and daughters. I'm going to go, you call it. Okay. Wherever we go, we leave some liabilities behind. So this is what we don't want. And we also had liabilities in Liberia, not so.
Yes.
Were Liberians happy when we were there? They are not. I received the Senegalese contingent. And they were praising them. Senegalese have come to save us. What happened when they started running away? Going back home. Oh, the Senegalese are running away. You see, these are traumatized people. When a society is traumatized, they will never listen. You see, when we bring this case of ECOMOG to public, how do you call it? Discourse. Wow. Yeah. People will say whatever they want. Different opinions. Different ideas. But at the end of the day, that of the commander-in-chief still remains. Not so. Right. This is additional security for the country. Okay. Do we know that they are saving us? Whether they are saving us? At the summit of our heads of what they were discussing, do we know that? Those people are at a higher level than us. We are at the grassroots, trying to take decisions. I used to sit at that friend, and a boy who has never been, a 16-year-old boy, was telling me military matters. I just look at him and laugh. This is how they got themselves landed in trouble. Not so. Right. It's a pleasure that I've been with you too. Let me just add that.
Thank you.
As you said, the other time we were seated down there, and we had this conversation. I'm not here to condemn TRRC. I just want to put up some little bit of recommendation in the future. Okay. Huh? If we say that our TRRC has reached a groundbreaking operation here in the Gambia as compared to that of South Africa, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Sudan, and others, we can build on it than condemning them. They are also human. Not so. They are obliged to make errors. If I had Esa on his Facebook account, saying that 99% of their recommendations were carried abroad, I am going to hit on him. Okay. I am going to tell him that start celebrating failure. Because we don't know why this is going to end. Okay. Let it finish, because he has already given his back. But I am saying, if Esa had the opportunity to go into politics, boy, the time is over. His only investment was at that time. Should we decide what he has to do? Esa should be putting on red shirt or blue shirt. That's his own thinking. That's right. You don't dictate somebody's pace unless you are a public figure. They were given an assignment, and the assignment has ended. So he would do whatever. I don't mean that I'm defending Esa. No, I will never defend Esa against the state. No. Okay. I would rather defend the state against Esa. But then, we've been talking during the period. Oh yes, there are certain circumstances. I got some information that were great relevance.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jatta. That's the...
Until when are we going to meet again?
We're going to the farm.
Just send... Yeah, I'm going to the farm. Yes. Send this into the internet and they'll insult me from morning to evening.
Don't worry about it.
I don't give a damn.
Nobody will insult you.
This
so
is
that's
just a conversation.
Right. That's
yes,
it.
Now that these papers are out, we all have our opinion.
Right. So that's the former Chief of Defense Staff of the Gambia Armed Forces, Colonel Baboucarr Jatta there. As you all know, the white paper recommended for his prosecution. That's the issue we discussed and many others. So thank you so much for now. Until another interview. Bye.